Hi everyone, my name is Jacob Reed and welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to be talking about the 7th and final season of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, I've been watching the show since I was 11, and I've loved almost every minute of it. It was a great show. I've been watching it a long time. It's always been great. And sometimes the final seasons of shows are terrible, so I was kind of worried about this one. But I was wrong, and this is a great season that had everything together perfectly in this final season. For years I've been worried that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. would be cancelled in both Season 4 and Season 5, but they kept getting renewed, and I'm really glad that they made it to the point where the writers got to decide how they end. And they had 2 whole seasons to plan it out. They had both Season 6 and Season 7 to plan it out. I loved the time travel nature of the Season 7. It was very fun seeing all the different time periods, as well as all the ways the characters react to them. Like, we got to see Enoch being a bartender in the 1940s, then we saw Deke joining a band in the 1980s. It was a lot of fun. All the characters of the season changed in such interesting ways. We had Phil Coulson trying to cope with the fact that he's now an LMD and he's now can now live forever, he can't die. We had May trying to cope with her new empathy powers and try to keep them under control and learn how to use them to help people. But on the other hand, we had Yo-Yo, who had to deal with herself not using her powers for the first half of the season. She couldn't run fast anymore. So the first half of the season, she had to learn to be competent while also not having powers. And then we had Daisy, who has to cope with her fear of the team breaking up, because there was this big prophecy in the last few episodes where this will be your last mission together. So you had to deal with that, because she views these people as her family, which they are at this point. Then we had Mac, who had to deal with his parents dying in this new timeline. And we had Deke, who had trouble finding his place within the group, which is resolved later when he starts the Deke Squad. And then we had Simmons, of course, who had to deal with Fitz being missing, and she erased her memory of how he got missing, and later she forgets who he even is, which is extremely sad. But she gets those memories back. We'll get to in a minute. But speaking of Fitz, I was very upset that Fitz was absent almost the entire season. I know it was because Ian was filming something else, but I still would have liked to see him in a few more episodes than he was. I didn't like the main villains for the season, being of course Malik and Cora. The personalities were not interesting and the motivations were pretty cliche. But I like how we get all the past villains from previous seasons. Like, we got Jiaying from Season 2, we got Malik from Season 3, we got John Garrett from Season 1. Now, Jiaying and Garrett got redeemed, but Malik stayed evil to the end, of course. But it was cool because Victoria Hand from the new timeline killed John Garrett, while in the old timeline, John Garrett killed Victoria Hand. So in a way, she got her revenge. My favorite episode of the season now was episode 9. This was the first episode Elizabeth Hendrith, who plays Simmons, directed, and her directing style was amazing, especially considering this is her first time directing anything. The concept of the time loop used in that episode is usually a tiled trope in TV and movies. We saw it so often. We saw it in Groundhog Day, we saw it in Happy Death Day, that was the new Andy Samberg movie, but in S.H.I.E.L.D., it seemed fresh and exciting. And then, of course, at the end of the episode, we had Enoch's death scene, which was very traumatic. He's always been a charming character. It was very sad to see him go. But at least he had a heroic death, and he did what he did best. He died doing what he did best, saving his friends. And his death raised the stakes for the rest of the season, because now you know that people could die. It raises tension. And then the 2-part finale was perfect. Perfect finale. I love how all of the agents had their happy endings. They went their separate ways, but they still stayed close. And normally I'm against having all the main characters have a happy ending and nobody dying, but I felt like they have all suffered so much throughout these 7 years that they deserve to be happy. I'm glad that Fitz and Simmons got the happy ever after, Even though the twist that they had a baby was pretty predictable. I know my cousin predicted it early on, but it was nice to see them raise the baby in between seasons 6 and 7. And then how they got to spend the rest of their lives with each other. Very sweet. Especially considering that Fitz and Simmons were separated every single season. They finally get to live the rest of their lives being happy. I like how Daisy started dating Agent Sousa, because throughout the whole series, she had a bunch of chaotic relationships that all ended badly. Lincoln died, Grant Wold was evil, you know. He finally gets to be with a stable relationship and be happy with him. I felt like seeing that. Speaking of Daisy, her fight with Malik was very epic. I love the Quake Powers going against each other, and I actually thought that Daisy was killed for a minute. I thought she died, and it was very sad, but I was relieved to find out that it wasn't the case, because Korra brought her back. I like the twist that played out when they said early in episode 14 how it would be the last time they were in a room together, like I mentioned before. But later we find out that they're able to still communicate through these little VR things. They could have conference calls every year, so they could all talk to each other every year. It was nice to see that they still keep in touch, and they found the loophole. But it kind of sucks, though, because it's only once a year. Like, if I was them, I'd do it once a week, or at least once a month. But I guess they get busy. And it was only for 3 minutes, too. It's like, what's the point? Come on, guys. I don't know. It was fitting, though, that Phil Coulson had the last line in the series. He's the start of the series, and he carried it for 7 great seasons, and it was nice to see him happy in the end, and he's the same Coulson he's always been. He's still thrilled by his flying car, happy to live life. If he's technically alive, I don't know. But yeah, like I said, the season wasn't perfect, with the weak villains like a Fitz and less episodes, but it made up for it. With great character development, great action scenes, a huge budget. The effects looked amazing. Good plot twists and everything. It was one of the best TV shows to come out of 2020. And I'm not just saying that because every other show got delayed. I don't know. So yeah, I give this season a B+. Let me know what you guys think about this season and about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as a whole. And make sure you subscribe and leave a comment. Leave a like. I post videos every Thursdays and Sundays. So everybody stay safe. Peace.